Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today I am doing my part two of my wrap up for the POCathon. You can, if you haven't seen part one, you can go look at that. I covered the first three books that I read for the POCathon, and now I'm going to cut to myself talking about the last two books that I read. So I also read a book of poetry, and that was A Song for Us by Ray Nabidi. She has also written another book of poetry called I Love My Love. She wrote that last year, and A Song for Us came out this year in 2018. I was looking for someone I was looking for a work of poetry for the readathon, and I wanted someone who I didn't know. Not that I know much about poetry anyway, but I found someone that I didn't know. And I found her. I believe she's half Mexican, and she is pretty well known for her poetry. Now, this book is a mix of her poetry and also of her prose, and basically the theme, I would say for me, from what I got from reading this book of poetry and collection of poems and prose by her, was that she's coming to terms with who she is and how she loves, and basically the trials that she went through to get to that point, and the fact that she's still working on herself, but she has made a resolution to accept that this is how she loves and accept that who she is as a person. For me, her poetry it wasn't mind blowing. It was okay. There were a couple poems in there that I felt like I connected to on an emotional level, but for me, the best part of this book was actually her prose. So for each section of the book, there were four. I don't remember the names for all of them, all the sections, because each one had names. It was actually the prose that, when I started to read it, it became almost like a page turner for me, and I was like, really drew me in. And the ones, especially for the sections Epiphany and Prayer, those really grabbed me and had me saying, like, they really dragged me into what she was saying, because I connected with that on an emotional level, coming to terms with like who you are, the mistakes you made in the past, and the fact that prayer was something that was really important for her in that part of her life as well, and that really connected with me. So her prose for this, I felt, was the best part of this poetry collection and prose collection. Most of it is poetry, but at each start of a section, there was like basically a letter to you, the reader, and that I felt was the best and strongest part. But I would encourage you all to pick up her work and make a decision herself. And if you have read her work before, let me know down in the comment section below about what you think about her poetry and her prose. The last book that I read, and actually this book was actually really surprising for me, was Go, and that was by Kazuki Kaneshiro and translated by Takami Nida. This book was actually written quite a while ago, and actually won a prize in 2000, the Naoki Prize, for its depiction of issues in Japan of ethnicity and discrimination. The author of it, Kaneshiro, has written for TV, and I think he's written other books as well. The movie adaptation for this book, Go, actually won all the major award prizes in Japan. And the translator, Takami Nida, he also does a lot of translations of books from Japanese into English, and I felt he did a really good job with this book. So this book, coming into it, I didn't know that there was a subplot. I thought that basically it would be a subplot or a plot device, that he's Korean, she's Japanese, and that, that will become a problem for them, and then they will resolve it, and that's how it worked out. However, the part about him being Korean in Japan actually is not a plot device or just a subplot. It's actually a major part of the story, because he faces a lot of discrimination as a Korean in Japan. He's considered basically a second-class citizen. There's some things he cannot do because he's Korean and not Japanese. Certain heights he cannot reach because of that, and and he's also, he's a teenager. He's trying to figure out who he is, and he's, thinking, like, am I North Korean? Because, my parents or have citizenship of North Koreans, and I'm sent to a North Korean school. Am I South Korean because I changed my citizenship while, when my father did? Am I Japanese because I lived and was born in Japan all my life? And so he's trying to figure out, like, who he is, and and the author actually explains really well like what the social dynamics is as being Korean in Japan. It was just really good and really for me unexpected because I thought the main part of the book was just going to be like the relationship between him and the girl, and that is a good part of the story, but it's also a major part of the story. I would say half the book itself is him trying to figure out where does he fit in, what is he, and he makes it really. He goes into really when he's explaining to the girl about like who he is or how she perceives him. He says, well, what makes you Japanese? Is it because you were born here and your parents were born here? How far back do you go before you say like, all right, so this is the cutoff for when you're Japanese? If you have Chinese blood, are you then considered not Japanese? If you have Korean blood but it goes back 2,000 years, are you not considered Japanese anymore? And so these questions, I mean, today we just say like, oh no, that's absolutely ridiculous, but to people even now and today, it's a very important question, especially when it comes to where you move on the social ladder. I mean, in Haiti, when they had slavery, they had a manual that qualified people down to the 1/28th of how much black blood you had in you. So these were very important questions, not only then, but then also now in some places where you're trying to figure out who you are. Is your citizenship determine who you are? Is it your parents determine who you are? Is it where you're born? So these are questions that are still relevant today, and I thought that Go was actually a really good analysis of it, and definitely deserved the awards that it got and recognition that it got for it. And I'm glad that it was translated into English for American audience to enjoy. So that is what I read for the POCathon. I think this video is going to be a bit long, but it is what it is. I'm glad that you all once again joined me for the POCathon. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again next year. And I'm just glad that I got to read books. Like I said, like Go was on my TBR for a long time. The last book of Benti was on my list for a long time. But A Song for Us, Freshwater, they were not even anywhere on my radar. And because of this readathon, gave me an excuse to go find some interesting reads. So I hope that going forward, that we all, myself included, will keep an eye out for books by people of color and main characters that are people of color, and try to read a bit more diversely if you're so inclined to. There are stories out there from different cultures, because I mean, I never considered race and discrimination in Japan, and because of reading Go, it's opened my eyes to to that fact, and to other places that may be in the world. So definitely reading things from different culture, seeing issues and not even social issues, but just seeing stories from different cultures can be quite an amazing thing. So if you participated in the POCathon, how did it go? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you like this video, please you can hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. I will be listing all the links to all the other people who hosted the readathon down in the description box below. You can go follow and subscribe to them as well. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReach28. I have been more active on Twitter in this past week than I've probably been in the last 6 months. So I may not be as active, at least for the next couple of weeks. But you can follow me there on Twitter. You can also see what I'm reading at GhostReach on Goodreads. You can find that down in the link down to that in the description box below. So guys, as always, keep reading.